Hey guys, this is a Patreon Q&A. If you would like to be in next week's video, simply check out the link in the description and you can sign up there. I'm also going to be going into spoilers for all of the series I'm going to be talking about. MajinBoros asks, I read some comments on different videos seeing that Garo taking serious punches and clashing serious punches with Saitama is problematic because Garo in no way, shape, or form should be able to take Saitama's full force like nothing, and many things aren't making sense for the plot as well. So thank you for bringing this up. I wanted to talk about this in a video regardless because I didn't really go too much into it in my review. So in chapter 167, after Saitama and Garo are blasted to Io, the moon of Jupiter, Saitama says, oh well, at least I can let loose at full power against a guy who could stay up. I may have finally gotten what I wished for, but I'm not the slightest bit excited. Now, as I said in my review, that's like a problematic statement. And I personally trust the translations of Nitrote and Grey words. I think this is, more or less what he's actually saying. And with that, I suppose, just like many things in the series, it's up for interpretation. Now, at least in my opinion, the way that I see this is that he's not like literally using full power. I mean, if you just see Saitama in this chapter, clearly he's not worried at all. I mean, he's freaking holding Genos' core the whole time. And Garo himself says, this guy, he's completely unfazed. Is he even human? Saitama is also like telling Garo to like come at him in this chapter too. He's like, forget your little tricks, referring to using the hyperspace gates, and come at me with your fists. Is that what you call the ultimate martial arts? Then after Saitama does the serious table flip and throws Garo like off of his own internal access, he winds up teleporting into like the surface of Io, thinking that he was actually escaping. He says, I completely lost my sense of direction, like a caged insect being played with by a child. This is pretty much telling us the story of this fight. An insect being played with by a child. It's not really that competitive. So when Saitama says, I can let loose, use my full power, I think he more so means like, I don't have to worry about Earth or the people there. I can kind of just do what I want to do, casually throwing around serious moves. And I finally have an opponent who's not going to be completely vaporized by me using that level of power. And also, I think at least, Saitama doesn't want to kill Garo. He still knows that he's like a human. It's not like he completely forgot the moments that he had with Garo before he became Cosmic Fear mode. The whole thing about him trying to bring Garo around to his humanity. He saw the relationship that he had with Terrio. He saw that Garo is deeply conflicted. And I'm pretty sure Saitama knows that Garo is ultimately trying to do the right thing. I mean, he is like one of the great anti-villains of battle manga. And with that, he knows that he is being corrupted by God here. So with that, I doubt he's really trying to kill him. And I do think that if Saitama really wanted to, he could probably vaporize him with one strike. And as for people saying that it's too early in the story for Garo to be this strong or for someone to be taking serious strikes the way that he is, well, I don't think so. I think this is more so just the sequel to the Boros fight, which, happened very early on in the story. And I'm sure some people had gripes with it at that time. Like, oh wow, it's too early on in the story for somebody to be this powerful and taking a punch from Saitama. The story's called One Punch Man. He's supposed to be defeating everybody with one punch. What the heck is this? But obviously, as the years and time has gone by, we have no problem with Boros and how strong he was. We actually revered it. In the last 8 years, we've kind of just compared everyone to Boros, right? We put him on this pedestal, but now he's coming off of that pedestal and being replaced by Cosmic Fear Garo. So for the next 8 years or however long, everyone hereafter will be compared to Cosmic Fear Garo. And I think that's one of the core aspects of this series. When you have a character like Saitama, who I always refer to as the one above all, meaning that there are none above him, not even God, no one else, he will always be the strongest. It's hard to make stakes at that point, because if you look at it for what it is, there are no stakes, at least in relation to Saitama, and there never was. So you have to create the illusion of stakes here, and I think that's what one has done. I mean, clearly, since there are many people that are confused or angry or just not on board with what's happening here because they think that Saitama is truly being challenged here, or that there's even a chance that Garo could win. And I've said this many times before as well, but the dynamic of Saitama's like true opponents are just going to come down to who can push him the furthest, who can get get him to show the audience the most of what he's capable of. And that's what we're seeing here. With Boros, he pushed Saitama enough to be able to survive his regular punches and got to the point of where he used a serious punch to take him out, or just to stop his ultimate attack. And naturally, we go to the next level as to where somebody can survive Saitama's serious punches and even match his serious punches in a way and convince a portion of the audience that Saitama is actually in danger here, or that his opponent is simply too strong. So I just think that everything is working the way that it should. I mean, isn't this what we always wanted? I'm not sure why people are upset with this, because this is kind of the trajectory of the series, right? But rather than just taking everything so literally and seeing it for what it is on the surface, take a look for what it actually is, and it's Saitama is being Saitama, and this is just the natural progression of the series, with one giving us the illusion of stakes. And that's just one of the many reasons why this series is so great and pretty unique. William H. asks, how do you think Bang and Bomb would stack up against the ninjas Hellfire and Gale? I think Bang would likely be ahead, but current Bomb might struggle with the monster forms. So yeah, I guess Bomb isn't as strong as Bang, despite what Murata said in his stream interview a couple years ago, but I think they would probably take them down. It wouldn't be easy, but as far as we've seen in the series, I think it's pretty evident that they are not as strong as Bang and Bomb. PandatheMan asks, do you think the radiation from Cosmic Garo could end up making some of the weaker heroes stronger? It's definitely possible, and as you said here, you know, in these stories, sometimes radioactive anything, you know, gives people powers, which is very true, and I could see that maybe happening with one or maybe even two of the heroes or whoever here that was in the vicinity. Like maybe they had some kind of inherent ability in them that just needed a catalyst from the radiation, or they were maybe already on the verge of becoming a monster or something, and then that is the trigger for them. I mean, it's not guaranteed, of course, but I could totally see something like that happening for sure. Geruda asks, do you think Vegeta will upgrade his ego form? At its current state, it's a bit of a double-edged sword, more negative than positive in my opinion. So yeah, I always kind of thought this, and while it is cool that he's getting a power-up and it makes him stronger, the dynamic of it just makes it seem like it is more of a negative than a positive, and so far it hasn't really been working out for Vegeta. Like, he's literally lost every single fight that he's had while using it. Whenever you have an ability where the more damage you take, the stronger you get, it's probably not going to work out for you. So either he's going to upgrade this and he'll have some kind of balance to it, kind of like with Ultra Instinct, or he'll just abandon it and get another form. Something is going to have to change with this for sure. One Punch Man Needs More Watchdogman asks, in the manga chapter where Saitama was sitting in a house with Garo, do you think that was trolling or A/B testing from One? So I don't think that was trolling. That was probably like originally what One was thinking of doing, as to where they were going to have like a conversation, and I think the conversation was eventually going to lead to God intervening and Cosmic Garo was going to be a thing. I don't think that's all new. I just think the connective tissue getting between those two moments is probably new, and it was altered because One maybe didn't feel like that was the right way to go, and I assume that he also saw the fan reaction, at least somewhat. I mean, I don't think it's a coincidence that that just randomly changed after there was a big outcry from the community around that time. So maybe he's just decided to save that big talking sequence for after Saitama defeats Garo. Fez asks, where do you think the connection between Zoro and Luffy will go? Will Zoro always be Luffy's right-hand man? Will Luffy's path as Joy Boy and Zoro's path as the King of Hell intercept each other? Or do you think they will have some kind of strife for some other reason? I don't think so. I think the King of Hell is more so just a cool moniker for Zoro at this point. I mean, remember, Rayleigh is the Dark King, and he never really had any beef with Roger. I mean, there's a possibility they might have a falling out that just is for an aspect of one of the future arcs or something, but ultimately I think they're always probably going to be, you know, boys for the most part, and, you know, he will be Luffy's right-hand man for sure. I mean, they're so close at this point, closer than almost any of the Straw Hat relationships. If there's like a ranking, Zoro's at the top. I mean, especially because he was the first to join. Boxsteam asks, what do you think about the symbolism of Saitama and Garo fight being on one of Jupiter's moons? With the panel showing Saitama with the eye of Jupiter as the backdrop, this could be representation that there is some sort of King of Gods in the One Punch Man universe giving his blessing to Saitama. So the King of Gods thing is definitely evident here. And I made a video about Saitama being based on the Egyptian god Ra, which is also referred to as the King of Gods. And I think it all kind of comes full circle here. I think it's more so just representation rather than what it literally means in the series, at least in my opinion, there's definitely not some kind of king of gods out there other than like, you know, the being God, who I guess could be considered that, but there's not some good altruistic God or something out there that's giving Saitama powers or giving him a blessing or anything like that. All the power that Saitama has is of his own volition. Like, he removed his limiter. Pretty sure the limiter is like an aspect of all living beings, more or less, and he's maybe the first one to do it in a very long time, or maybe the first one ever to do it, possibly. But there's no external sources to Saitama's power. It's all just 100% him. Awakened Saitama asks, is Garo too strong for how early it is in the story? Because we're definitely going to have to see a completely new move for him to be able to take out Garo in the upcoming chapters. So I talked about this in the beginning of the video, but I don't think it's too early, the same way that it wasn't too early for Saitama to be taking on Boros. I think this is part of the course for One Punch Man, and yeah, we'll probably see a new move from Saitama for him to take out Garo, unless he just beats him down and eventually just wears him out, kind of like how he does in the webcomic. But if they want to go with the grand route of having, you know, the big season-ending move here, then we could see the next stage of Saitama's serious power or whatever. Mr. Toby 1018 asks, what if Genos was Blast's student instead of Saitama's? So this is a good question, and I think that Genos would definitely become one of his Guardians of the Galaxy or whatever. Like, we would see Garo wearing, you know, some kind of suit, maybe similar to Blast's, and he would be traversing in and out of the portals and the dimensions and everything, trying to keep God intact. I don't think he would kind of just leave Genos on Earth, because Genos does have the potential to become very strong, obviously, and I think Blast would use that to his advantage, especially since he's immune to the cosmic radiation, as he stated. That's pretty much it for the video today, guys. Once again, if you would like to be in next week's video, simply check out the link in the description and you can sign up there. Also, if you liked the video, please give it a like and please subscribe if you haven't already. Have a great day, and I'll see you in the next one.